Well, good morning, Lake Sam Church. Hey, we're so excited that you made the decision to watch service this morning. And this is Sabbath Sunday. This is not going to be like a Sunday in the past, and you might be like, what the heck is Sabbath? And so we're going to kick it over to Jeff, and we're going to hear from him as he goes into the Word and talks about Sabbath.
Hey, thanks so much, Colin. Hey, we're going to do this thing as a church that we're going to call Sabbath Sunday. Now, the heart behind it is this. The heart behind it is to celebrate everything that God has done over this past year and to enter into a new season by first resting in His grace. And so what that looks like for our church is that we are completely unplugging. We are unplugging from work, from toil, from the thought of work. Even in Jewish culture, they say it's even a sin to be sad on the Sabbath. And so as a church, what we're doing is we're reminding ourselves that God is God and we are not. We're reminding ourselves that we can celebrate the work that He's done and anticipate the work that He has yet set before us as a church that we are going to enter into in a new season. But we want to make sure before we do that, we rest. We rest in His grace. We rest in His mercy, and we understand that this whole thing of life in church is a gift given to us by God, and we want to celebrate that. So I want to share with you a story. It says this: in Greek mythology, Achilles was spoken over that he would die young. His mother decided to not allow this to happen. So she took this young boy to a river called Styx, which was believed to provide ultimate powers of invulnerability. The mother held the boy upside down by his heel, and she dipped his entire body into the river so that the power would completely wash over his entire body. Achilles grew up strong, courageous, and he was feared for his battles that he won. He was a conqueror that survived many wars that he fought. Achilles was alleged to be invincible by his body because it was dipped in this river. But the one vulnerable place that he had upon his life, from what other people knew, was the heel of which his mother held on to. This was the only part that was not washed. Achilles was in battle one day later in his life, and an arrow filled with poison from the enemy pierced the back of his heel. The Greek god shortly died thereafter. Achilles' heel was the weak area that permitted his demise. I think as a culture, as Americans, we have an Achilles heel, and it's called we do not know how to rest. We have an Achilles heel within our culture. We think that we're invisible. We think that we're indestructible. We run at 1,000 miles per hour. We have our emails on our phones, and we have text messages on our phones. We have everything on our phones. We work till 8 to 9 to 10 o'clock at night. We wake up early. We're filled with anxiousness. We're filled with anxiety. We're filled with these things that we're carrying. And I think a lot of it comes down to we have lost our ability to rest. Dallas Willard, he says this: hurry is the great enemy of the spiritual life. Hurry is the great enemy of the spiritual life. When we read about the story of Jesus, we recognize that Jesus was never in a hurry. People were always asking him questions. They always wanted him to come to their towns. They always wanted him to heal every single person that walked by him. And the thing that amazes me about Jesus is that he walked at a pace called grace. He walked at the pace that his Father set. He says, I don't do anything unless my Father tells us. But us, as an American culture, what we tend to do is we tend to pick up everything to make everybody happy, to answer every single email, to answer every single phone call, and to be at the beckoning call of every single person that wants our attention. And in that process, we forget God. In Exodus chapter 5, verses 5 through 9, a man named Pharaoh is building this huge empire off the backs of the Israelites. This Egyptian god known as Pharaoh would not let up. He would not allow the Israelites, God's chosen people, to rest. But we read about in Genesis, after God created the heavens and the earth and filled the whole earth with everything and told us to be fruitful and multiply, we read in Deuteronomy that one of the commandments that God has given humanity, us, is to Sabbath. It's the only day mentioned in the entire Bible that is set apart and called holy. It's the only day that God has set apart and said, enter into my rest, enter into holiness, enter into space and time where your hands don't toil, your soul is at rest and peace, and you know that I am God. Pharaoh was building his empire. He was building Egypt off the backs of God's people. It says this in Exodus 5:1-9. Afterward, Moses and Aaron, they went to Pharaoh and they said, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel says. This is God's heart. Capture this. Let my people go so that they may hold a festival to me in the wilderness. Pharaoh said, who is the Lord that I should obey him and let his people go? I do not know the Lord, and I will not let these people go. Then they said, the God of Hebrews has met us. Now let us take a 3-day journey in the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God, and he may strike a plague upon you. But the king of Egypt said, Moses and Aaron, why are you taking the people away from their labor? Get back to work. Then Pharaoh said, look, people of the land are becoming numerous and they are not stopping working. The same day Pharaoh gave this order to the slave drivers and overseers to charge the people. You are no longer to supply the people with straw, making bricks. Let them go and gather their own straw. But require them now to make the same number of bricks as before. Don't reduce the quota. They are lazy. This is why they are crying out. Let us go and sacrifice to our God. Make the work harder for the people so that they keep working and pay attention to the lies. See, Pharaoh in this story, he's building his empire. And one thing that he's doing is he's not allowing God's people to work. When we are under the oppression of culture, under the oppression of society, societal pressure, the culture, the society wants us to never take a day off. They never want us to unplug and enjoy the fruit of our labor. It's more and more and more. I don't know about you, but I used to work like this. I used to work. I never had enough. I never had enough money. I never had enough time. I never had enough blank. I filled in that time with other things just to get me more. And you end up looking back and realizing like you're always chasing more. Pharaoh wanted these Israelites to continue to build, but he wanted to now even make it harder on them to build his empire. He wanted them to still have the same quota, but go and gather their own straw now and build it on their own. See, inner freedom depends upon the exempt from the domination of things as well as the denomination. Okay, hold on. Domination, here we go. Domination of people. Inner freedom depends upon being exempt from the domination of things as well as the domination of people. The Sabbath is the reminder that we are not slaves to the world. We are sons and daughters of God. And God gives us rest. One of the main attributes about God that separates God, the Hebrew God, the Christian God, from every other God is that our God gives us rest. No other God that you will study, no other God that you will learn about gives his people rest. He says, you've worked, you've toiled, I've seen your labor. Now it's time to enjoy what you have done. Unplug, enjoy the fruit, enjoy your family. Eat a good stack of waffles and pancakes. Put so much syrup on there that your pancreas feels like it's going to explode. Put peanut butter and blueberries and strawberries and enjoy the sweetness of entering into rest. The Jews would know this because on the Sabbath, they would take honey and they would give it to their kids as their kids would be reminded of the sweetness of the Sabbath. I want to give you guys 3 things as we learn about why are we doing Sabbath Sunday as a church. Number 1, I'm going to go through these quick. We are not God and neither are you. We have to be reminded in this process that God has done amazing things through our church in past seasons. And he's getting ready to do incredible, amazing things as he takes things from glory to glory in the future. But one thing that we have to understand is that we answer to Jesus. And God, our God, the Christian God, says, enjoy and rest. And so entering out of Christmas and into this new season, we are going to start a new season by first resting in his grace. Number 2, we are not controlled by a consumer culture. We are servants of our Creator. We're not controlled by a consumer culture. There's always more. There's always another email. There's always another person to call. There's always another thing that comes up. There's always another thing to post about. We are not slaves of a consumer culture that wants us to build the empires off the backs of God's people. No. We are servants of our Creator. And how do we serve him? We rest in him. We rest in what he's done. We celebrate the gift of life and family and friends and food and the taste of food and the ability to enjoy each other, the ability to feel the love that comes together, the ability to watch a good movie that just makes you belly laugh until you feel like you're going to throw up, the ability to eat so much food that you feel like you're sick. It's the enjoyment of God. It's the stepping into the fullness and the fulfillment of God. One thing that Chris and I do on our Sabbath, which is Saturday, we completely unplug, turn our phones off, don't answer anything, and I eat whatever I want, and it's the best. I love it. I'll eat pancakes, waffles and pancakes, waffles then pancakes, another thing of waffles and pancakes. And then I'll just do whatever I want, whatever fills my soul on that day, whatever God is beckoning me into, I do. And number 3 is we do this Sabbath Sunday to remind ourselves that the church will go on and we can just rest in his presence. That's the thing. I think sometimes we think that we need to die for the church. Jesus already did. I'm not going to die for this church, and I don't want you to die for this church either. I want to watch the grace of God lift this church up and do things that you and I have never seen before. And all we can do is point to the glory of Jesus and what he's doing in his church. And so Sabbath Sunday is an opportunity for us to step back and to remind ourselves that the church is God's and we can rest in his work. So the challenge for Sabbath Sunday for you and your family as we enter into this new season is unplug. Unplug, turn off your phone, put it in a drawer, get rid of it. Don't answer emails. Spend time with your kids and your family. Get off social media. Don't let your mind wander. Enjoy the conversations that are around you. Enjoy the food. Unplug. Make margin for things that you've maybe never done before. I don't know about you. Do you do puzzles? Do you paint? Do you draw? Do you read? What do you do that brings you life? Make margin for those things in your life. Make room for those. And the third thing is come into this new year with fresh vision, fresh fire, excited for the grace of God upon Lake Sam and all God is doing. Be ready to serve with your whole heart, mind, soul, and strength. Get ready to step into the tsunami of grace that God is getting ready to pour out. Get ready to step into this new thing. Get ready to walk in this new identity that God is creating us as the body of Christ to be in the midst of this world. Get ready to be the hands and feet of Jesus. Prepare your hearts, prepare your souls, prepare your spirits to step into a new season. Don't step into a new season with the same old identity. Step into this new season with a new mantle, with a new level of grace, and with a new authority because you first stepped into it by resting in Jesus. I want to read you a quote as we wrap up. A writer named Abraham Joshua Heckle, he says this: "The world has my hands, but our soul belongs to someone else." The world has our hands, but our soul belongs to someone else. And I know someone that once said, "What is it if you gain the entire world, but you lose your soul?" So I want to welcome you guys into this season that we're going to do as a church every year called Sabbath Sunday. We are going to start our new year off, not toiling, not working, but resting in the grace of God. I challenge you guys to step into this with us and get ready for a new season that lies ahead. We are so excited and we cannot wait to be together in January. I love you guys.
Well, like Sam, we're gonna do tithes and offering, and with tithes and offering, we have multiple ways that you can give in our church. You can give on our app, you can give online, and these are just simple ways that you can partner with the church and what we are doing here in Bellevue. And now, like Sam, we're gonna close out service, so we can't wait to see you back Sunday, same time, same place. We love you.